Another day, another flash flood emergency with water rescues and evacuations due to training thunderstorms dumping torrential rainfall rates over the same areas. More flash flooding is expected over the next couple of days. I'll show you just who stands the best chance of seeing flash flooding. Some of those thunderstorms will produce severe weather, tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds are in the forecast. We're also watching for geomagnetic storm conditions. I'll tell you why that is and what that means. And one model is picking up on a little bit of Gulf mischief. So we're going to check in on all of that. Plus, we'll show you if our favorite, most highly skilled model still expects winter in the middle of summer. All of that's coming up. We're going to see just how many screens we can get through in about 15 minutes right here on Cold Rain's Weather World. Yeah, more flash flooding, this time in Davenport, Iowa, where torrential rains dropped several inches of rain in a couple of hours. We saw all of that rainfall has nowhere to go except into homes and into streets and flooding parking lots and vehicles and things like that. You got to really be paying attention when you have this kind of an air mass in place and there's a threat for flash flooding, because these thunderstorms can drop 2 and 3 inches of rain in an hour or less, depending on the situation. And when they train, you can get 8 inches of rain in about 3 hours, or maybe even less than that. And you've got a big problem on your hands. You really need to take that stuff seriously, folks. A little bit of good news I wanted to share with you. You know, I had an appointment, if you watched the show the other day, with my son, Cole Drizzle, who appears on this channel from time to time. We had a cardiology appointment for him the other day, and we got the results back, and everything is great, looking good, stable, which is good. Praise the Lord for that. Thank you all for the prayers and the prayers and the support for that, for sharing those well wishes with us. We really appreciate it. Let's continue to pray for the people that are impacted by situations like this, and our neighbors and friends and family that have issues of whatever type. We need to encourage people and lift people up. That's the most important thing. Weather's important. Weather affects us, but we need to be consider people first, folks. And that's what I hope that we do here on this channel. And there's our countdown to fall. Look at that, 72 days till fall. We'll talk more about that later, but we've got some things to get into first, including the satellite image. And you can see we've got showers and thunderstorms out there this morning already. Eastern New Mexico, western Texas, clouds up into Kansas with showers there as well. Thunderstorms along kind of a boundary from Oklahoma up in toward the Boot Hill of Missouri. Showers back up into the Great Lakes area as well, moving into western Wisconsin here. And look at this big smoke coming in out of the wildfires in Canada, coming down on northwesterly flow out of behind this system working through the Great Lakes now. Some clouds up in the northeast, so cloudy start to your weekend out there, cloudy start down here in the southeast in spots, and a new system working into the northern plains, the Pacific Northwest area, but the southwest looking pretty good this morning. There's your radar, so a little bit of a rainy start out here in the panhandle of Texas down into West Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma. You're seeing some rain. There's that line of showers from northern Arkansas up to the Boot Hill of Missouri, and some showers working into central Wisconsin now, and the UP of Michigan and interior Michigan around Sault Ste. Marie. So you're seeing a few showers as well. Thunderstorms are possible this afternoon with heavy rain and winds and tornadoes and hail as well from interior Michigan, eastern Michigan down through basically Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, back down in here into the southern tip of Illinois here. That's where the slight risk is. So that's a level 2 risk. A marginal risk surrounds that from the western sections of Virginia and the Carolinas all the way back through the Tennessee Valley into southwest Texas up the Front Range, the Rockies. That's where we're finding a chance for at least isolated severe thunderstorms. Anywhere in the green, though, that encompasses much of the eastern United States. You can see showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. If you've got plans, you may have to dodge a few of those. Tornado threat, not all that high, but still a little bit of extra spin. We've got a system kind of working through boundary up there, and so certainly up in the upper portions of Michigan is where the tornado threat would be maximized. Any supercells that develop could drop a quick tornado, so be on the alert for that. Wind is primary threat, 15% chance of severe wind within 25 miles of a point. So pay attention, although it's not a great risk. We're not looking for a derecho. Just pay attention for any severe thunderstorms that pop up. They could produce wind quickly and blow some things around. Hail, not as much of a threat as well, with lapse rates not all that steep this afternoon. Tomorrow looks even more meager from a severe weather standpoint. Interior New England down here into central Virginia, we could see a few isolated reports of wind being the primary threat, and back here in Arkansas and Oklahoma, southern Missouri as well. The chance of actual thunderstorms gets diminished a bit, but we do have a flooding threat back into Texas. We'll look at that in a minute. But anywhere over the southeast tomorrow, again, may have to dodge a few showers and thunderstorms, so keep an eye to the sky. Now, looking here at what's kind of driving this in the mid-levels, got a little piece of energy working through this afternoon. I'll roll this back. You can see that here kind of moving into the Great Lakes. Another one hot on its heels. The front one's dampening out, and it's going to get captured and gobbled up by this second one, and it will eventually dampen out too as we go on through the weekend. See how it kind of pulls into Canada here and dampens out. Got another little trough swinging in as we get into tomorrow afternoon, and that will enhance the threat somewhat in the interior sections of the Northeast, but it's not all that great. Looking at the radar this afternoon, starting here this morning, capturing the storms that are out there pretty good. Not much going on as we get toward noonday, but watch what happens. We get into 2 and 3 o'clock, 1, 2, 3 o'clock. We start to see individual thunderstorm cells fire up here, back into Indiana, back into southern Illinois, back into up into Ohio. Not a lot going on in Michigan. That's kind of one of the primary areas that we're watching for. Most of the activity seems to be up here in Canada, but don't let your guard down. Just because the future radar is not showing anything, the model is not always clear on that. So keep your guard up, pay attention, stay weather aware, keep an eye to the sky. Always watch out for those big clouds billowing up. We get on in toward 6, 7 o'clock, we're looking at showers aligned. So some of those thunderstorms are going to merge into line segments and clusters, moving on in and eventually dying out into Ohio over the early and late evening hours. Everything kind of quiets down. Looking back here at the broader view for the day, there you go. There's the thunderstorms kind of getting ready to start forming as we get on into the mid-afternoon up here in the Midwest and Ohio Valley area. So you can see a little line moving into the UP of Michigan. Thunderstorms firing up back here into the lower Mississippi Valley, back into Oklahoma and Texas. Again, in the southeast, not a lot going on. Up here in the Appalachians, you'll see a few more thunderstorms as we go through the afternoon, but coverage should be quite a bit less than it has been. Just some scattered thunderstorms, but where they form, they're going to drop a lot of rain really quickly. And we're going out into Sunday as well. There you have it, Sunday afternoon, really starting to fire up. Got a little bit better chance of organized thunderstorm activity up here in the interior sections of the Northeast, and that's why we have a marginal risk up here. Could see some flooding concerns out of these two flooding concerns back into the Texas, Oklahoma area. Plenty of thunderstorms in that area. And then down here in the Southeast, not too bad. Nothing going on in the upper plains really all that much to speak of. Here comes another system, though. As we get on in toward Monday, we may see something else happen there. So that's what's going on there, folks. Flooding threat predominantly today back in Texas and Oklahoma, where we could see training of thunderstorms. Again, these could produce rainfall rates 2 and 3 inches per hour. So if you get under one of these and it sort of sits there, you got to be on the alert. If you get any flood warnings, take those seriously. Marginal risk up and down the eastern seaboard tomorrow. A little bit better risk up here in the interior Northeast, where we're going to see a line of thunderstorms kind of slowly move through, drop a lot of rain back in Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Portions of those areas too. Again, down here through central Texas, Dallas, all the way back, toward the Lubbock area and places like that. Up in here in Norman, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, over into Fayetteville, Arkansas, could see some flooding concerns. Joplin, Missouri. So pay attention tomorrow if you're in those areas. Taking a look at the entirety of the model run over the next 84 hours, you can see where the heavy rain footprints are. Back here, southern Wisconsin, back through Missouri, into Oklahoma, into Texas. The model is not going to be able to tell you exactly where the thunderstorms are going to line up in a pop-up thunderstorm environment, right? So we're going to see little segments and clusters of storms develop, drop a lot of rain. That could be 20 miles to the north, 20 miles to the south, east, west. The model doesn't really know that, but what you need to understand by looking at this map is that anywhere in this pink area, and then tomorrow over here in this pink area, is where you really need to pay attention and watch for flooding and be aware of it. Be prepared to take action if a flood emergency or flash flood warning is issued for your area. Expect it, prepare for it. If it doesn't happen, hey, you're in good shape. That's what we want. So just pay attention, be prepared. Windy conditions over much of the United States, with the exception of the southeast. Could see winds gusting here in the central, basically the Ohio Valley, maybe up to 30 miles per hour this afternoon. West Texas, eastern New Mexico could see a little bit more in gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour, maybe 30s up here in Montana. Got a little red flag warning up here, and 20s back into the Rocky Mountains, folks. We're not looking at a whole lot of wind, though. No big 60 mile per hour winds or anything like that. But look at this. Way up here in all of Minnesota and Wisconsin, air quality alerts for lots of low-level wildfire smoke coming in. Got to stay inside if you're sensitive to this stuff. I would stay inside anyway. I don't like to be out in a bunch of smoke. So pay attention up here and limit exertion. A lot of flash flood watches up in Oklahoma and Texas. So you got to pay attention down here for flash flooding. Heat advisories up and down the West Coast for temperatures in the valleys getting into the hundreds over the next several days. You got to really, really take it easy if you're out here, and stay inside as much as you can in the air condition where you have it. Drink plenty of fluids. You got to stay hydrated in heat like that. It's a cumulative effect over the course of a couple of days. It could really take its toll if you have a lot of outside work to do. Look at this horrible air quality up here in Minnesota. Purples, very, very bad. We already took a look at that, but just stay inside. New York, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, Southern California could have some air quality issues too, as the air is kind of stagnant in those areas. Looking at high temperatures over the next couple of days, let's get on display number 2, and we can see this whole thing. Not too bad up here in Maine. 80s up here. Not gonna lie. I wish I was up there in Maine with those temperatures. 90s where I am. 94 in Raleigh. Back into Atlanta in the 90s. As we get on into Memphis and Dallas, you're in the 90s as well. Mid 90s. Not as bad up here in the plains, in the northern Midwest and Great Lakes, but you got to battle wildfire smoke up here, unfortunately, and some severe weather potentially. And back into the plains here, it's in the 70s where you've got clouds and some showers working through. That's what we're looking for high temperatures. But look out here in the desert Southwest, still in the hundreds. Phoenix, you're at 109. And getting into the San Joaquin Valley in the hundreds, approaching 100 up here in the interior Northwest. And that gets just hotter and hotter as we get on into tomorrow and Monday. Look at that. Boom. Hundreds everywhere in the West. 90s making it to the Canadian border. Upper 90s in the southeast. A little bit chillier is not the right word. A little bit less hot in the nation's midsection up to the Great Lakes, and still pretty good up here in New England. So that's what we've got going on temperature-wise. Look at this. Now, we've got a tropical air mass in place, and there's really not much sign of that abating anytime soon here in the southeast. You might see some relief as we get on into the week, couple days here and there as fronts make it into the northern sections of the country and bring in a little bit of a drier air mass. But look at this. We've got a Bermuda high sitting out here off the coast. It is pumping in moisture right out of the Gulf of Cold Rain and pulling it right into the southern United States. And we're going to continue to see that. The GFS even has a little blob of low pressure it tries to develop and bring in. That would exacerbate the problem. But as we get on out into Sunday, Monday, look at that. Reds are almost extreme values. Yellows are very high water content in the atmosphere. And you see how that really remains in place over the southeast and up along the immediate east coast. It backs off a little bit as systems work through the northern plains. Very dry out west, but those reds just hang around and continue to persist through midweek into late week. Look at that. Reds all the way as far as the eye can see, up and down the eastern seaboard into the southeast. And again, you get little breaks from the moisture up here, so it's going to feel a little bit better along the Canadian border. But that tropical air mass will mean, what it means for you is that it's going to feel hot, it's going to feel humid, and we're going to see thunderstorms, and when they develop, they're going to drop torrential rainfall rates really, really quickly and be very efficient rainfall producers. Yesterday, we looked at the European model who said, hey, I'm going to bring in the polar vortex for some nice summer relief. Well, is it still doing that? Well, let's check it out. We get on out into midweek. Look at this. Little trough working across the northern tier. That's normal. That's expected. We're going to see some of that. But where's the big polar vortex? Spinning up here in northern Canada, not making any sort of move toward the United States, as I feared and figured. That it was an anomaly yesterday. So we're not looking at any sort of wintertime conditions, unfortunately, coming in, but we will see some relief in the interior sections of the country, at least. Taking a look here as we start here on Sunday morning. Here's our pattern. We get on into Monday. We've got a zonal flow, not really looking at a lot of severe weather, more than anything, just scattered showers and thunderstorms for portions of the eastern part of the country. A little bit of relief in the northern plains, back in the midsection, ridging on the east coast, ridging off the west coast. keeping things warm on both coasts. And as we get on out through Friday, ridging starts to build in over the southeast. That might act to limit the shower and thunderstorm activity in the south and east and warm things up out here as that ridge maybe migrates back toward the west over time. In the meantime, temperatures here Monday, little cooler than normal here in Texas, back up to the Great Lakes, so it's going to feel okay in those areas. Warm along the west coast, warm along the east coast, particularly in the northeast. We get on out into midweek and get a legitimate blob of cooler air working in out of Canada, dropping temperatures back off a bit. Below normal out here in the plains and back into the southwest relative to normal, of course, and certainly warmer along both coasts, particularly in the Pacific Northwest and the Northeast. That's where the center of the height anomalies are. And so that's what we'll expect to see in terms of at least temperatures relative to normal. So best chance for cooler than normal back through the nation's midsection, Great Lakes to the southwest next week. Everybody else probably going to be solidly above normal. Looking at the temperature or the precipitation forecast as we go through the week, really not going to see a whole lot of precipitation in terms of big rainfall rates once we get past the next couple of days, or areas of flooding concerns. It doesn't look like. Maybe across the south if the GFS is right, but in any event, the European ensembles paint a picture of just gradually increasing the rain footprint over the course of the week with just general showers and thunderstorms. The GFS has got a little bit of Gulf action here. That's what I was telling you before when we did the intro. There it comes. We get on into midweek, Wednesday morning. It's starting to develop a little bit of a spin here in the Gulf. Brings that into Louisiana and Mississippi, bring in tropical moisture with it. Does not look like any sort of tropical development. It shouldn't. Weather is weather, and you never can say never, but the way it looks now, according to all the data that we have available, it does not look like anything's going to get going tropical-wise, other than just maybe a weak area of low pressure that works inland, exacerbates some rainfall down here in the southern southeast. Tropical Prediction Center, National Hurricane Center. I want to call it the Tropical Prediction Center because that's what I grew up with. The National Hurricane Center shows no activity in the eastern Pacific, no activity in the Atlantic, dead as a doornail, silent as the grave, or whatever other analogy you want to throw on it. Nothing going on in the tropical Atlantic, a little bit of thunderstorm activity off the southeast coast, nothing to worry about. Nothing here in the Gulf of Cold Rain, so you can see that there, nothing going on there. And that's it for the tropics. Looking at solar and geological weather, folks, nothing going on with the sun in terms of big solar flares. We saw a couple of M-class flares. You can see those down here in the X-ray chart. KP index is picking up a little bit. Here's the sun, and there's the big transequatorial coronal hole that's been facing us. Solar wind has been enhanced. It's coming at us. Wind stream's coming at us. There's a big dark spot across the bottom. That's not going to affect us. It's a little too far south. But we're going to see enhanced solar wind the next couple of days. That will increase the likelihood of low-level geomagnetic storm conditions. And if things are just right, maybe we'll get some aurora viewing across the north. I'll keep you posted on that and let you know if I see anything there. Sunspot activity, got a big sunspot down here. I'm showing you the magnetism a little bit ahead of myself, but positive, negative, positive. You want to see those commingled, and they're really not. They're separated, so we're not at risk of a big sunspot. But if we go up here, there it is. It's not toward us yet. It's still migrating around in terms of its complexity, so we'll keep watching it, folks. Nothing going on the earthquake front. Mount Rainier's quieted down. We do have a 4.4 that went off a little bit ago in Alaska up in the mountains. I don't know if anybody felt that, but just know that that happened there. I'll keep watching it and let you know if anything comes out of it, but I haven't seen anything, damage reports or anything like that. 4.4 is not all that big. 96.7 is our moon. It's a waning gibbous going down to new moon phase July the 24th. The moon will be rising later and later every night. Last night it was like 9:46, so tonight's probably like 10:15, 10:30, something like that. It's East Coast time. So there you have it, moon phase, and countdown to fall is on. I'm ready for fall. I'm tired of this hot weather. I know I'm probably in the minority, but I like cool weather, folks. Shorter days. That's what I like, and the days are chopping off both the front and the back of the days. We're getting shorter. Now 72 days till calendar fall, September the 22nd. Meteorological fall starts September the 1st, so 52 days. So we're getting closer. And that's the show for today, folks. Hope it's been informative. Let me know if you have any suggestions, prayer requests, anything specific I can pray over for you about. I'm happy to do that. I pray for you generically every day. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with another update. In the meantime, you have a wonderful Saturday afternoon. And if you get a weather alert, pay attention to it. Take it seriously. Keep your radar app handy so you can see what's going on and watch those clouds. Take care, folks. Have a great day.